This time on the Magick Kitchen Podcast, we're discussing fiber magic and stitch witchery. I'm Leandra Witchwood.
And I'm Elyse Wells.
And welcome to the Magick Kitchen Podcast, where we talk about magic, kitchen witchcraft, herbs,
and everything in between.
The Magick Kitchen Podcast is funded and supported by thewitchwoodteahouse.com, offering a variety of hand-blended loose leaf teas as well as loose herbs for all of your ritual, spellwork, wellness, and everyday enjoyment needs. If you would like to support this podcast while sipping a great cup of tea, head over to thewitchwoodteahouse.com and find the magic that's in store for you.
Before we get into our interview, I and Leandra would like to wish you a beautiful Yule, however you are celebrating. And if this is a hard holiday for you, I hope our voices will bring you some warmth and community and comfort, and you can join us in the Magick Kitchen, make your favorite cup of tea, and feel held by witchy community. We also have a couple episodes going back in past seasons to celebrate this time of year, including one called The Lonely Witch on Christmas. So that might be a good fit if you're feeling kind of the disconnect to the holiday and its themes this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you just joined me in the witchcrafting event, I have a Yule recipe that we created together, and you can still get that, or you can go to my website and go to my free resources. I have a download for you that for Yule, it's my gift to all of our listeners to just infuse your season with some color, with some magic, with some flavor. And yeah, it's about coming together, and I'm hoping that you have a really magical and connected season.
Blessed Yule, everybody.
Blessed Yule.
Today, Leandra and I are joined by our friend Katie Rempe, fiber artist and co-host of the Knit a Spell podcast. Katie blends creativity and magic through her work as a professional knitter, designer, and intuitive practitioner, inspiring makers to treat craft as a soulful healing practice. You can find her at knitaspell.com and lightfromwithin.co. Katie, we're super excited to have you here.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
Let's start with the beginning, the origin. How did you begin working with fiber magic? Tell our listeners what that means. And yeah, what are you doing with fiber that is part of your magical practice?
Well, it all started with sewing, actually. I was a big cosplayer, and I was like, how can I make this a profession? And clearly fashion design was the only place where my mind went, which is not necessarily a good correlation. So if you're out there and you're like, I'm a cosplayer looking to be a fashion designer, maybe do some more research, but that's your journey. Anyway, so I went into fashion school, learned how to sew, learned that it was a lot less magical and creative than I thought. And so instead of going in that direction, I went to work at a yarn store just for retail, and I learned a whole heck of a lot about how people interact with their craft. And I thought people were passionate about like the world of fashion. You get people who are sitting around their knitting circle debating their craft. This is like a whole new level of debate because this is something they're really passionate about. So yeah, and you'd think it's quite a niche, but yeah, they're very passionate. And so for me, I was like, I have to have more of this in my life. And so after working at this little yarn store for 3 years, I ended up going to Skacel, which is a big time business in the knitting world who they import knitting needles and they make their own line of yarn. And so I went from selling people yarn and knitting needles to being the person who creates the yarn and knitting needles that then those people sell. And so I got to interact with mills and learn all about, like actually learning my fiber skills into making fibers. And I was the person that got to name lines of yarn so I could build the narratives around them, even if nobody else was really aware of them. Like there's little Easter eggs in all the things that I named that if you really know me, you're getting the inside joke. So I saw that as really great. But the more I went up in like the backside of things, the less I really interacted with the people doing the knitting and interacting with the end product. And so after being a creative director there for 5 years, I ended up stepping back, creating Light from Lantern, and going back to the world of design so that I could reconnect with why I really liked knitting, not just as a thing, an end means to an end, but like if you can enjoy the process, first of all, you can actually finish that thing, which trust me, in this world is magical because most people don't. And two, really have something that's like worth spending your time on other than doom scrolling. It's a nice alternative.
I like that. Yeah. Yeah.
So you went from spinning yarns about yarn to spinning yarn.
That's right.
Knitting it or creating
kind of all
it.
that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's incredible. So is knitting your main way of working with textile?
Yes, it's my area of expertise, I would say. Even though I do a little crochet, I never got very good at it, unfortunately. People who can do that, they're like artists with their hooks. So
yes. It is so hard. Everything I've ever made looks so lumpy and awful. And I just end up getting that yarn out and using it for something else.
Spinning is the same way. Like I just did not have the patience. It's an art form that I was like, you know what? There's plenty of yarn. I'm going to let them take care of that. I'll take it from the
And it's funny because that's what I'm really drawn towards is spinning. And that's what I want our listeners to hear too, is there's a million ways to work with fiber arts, to work with textile, to work with, and it's something that goes back through millennia. It's something humans have really always done. And so there's a lot of magic inherent in that process and it can unlock a lot for us. Was there anything that knitting unlocked in your spiritual path? Like by knitting, it helped you along your journey?
Yeah, so there were like two time periods of my sort of knitting design career. There was pre-Magic and post-Magic, and it all unsurprisingly happened during the COVID era because I was in such like a heads down, like this is the path. I'm very comfortable with this sort of like corporate creativity that I have. And then once I stopped and was sort of like sitting here with myself again and really had time to think about it, I was like, oh, I kind of have lost like the excitement that it used to give me, the thrill. And that's what made me think like, well, why did I used to feel that way? And how can I reincorporate that? And then that's really when I thought, you know what I used to also do? A lot of tarot. Like it was a lot of my like introspective kind of reflection practice. So I started that back up again. And the coalesce of those two things happening together, I was like, oh, well now like I could knit a tarot spread cloth. Okay, well, I didn't actually think how I could not only make the practice of knitting magical, the things I'm making are for my magical practice as well. So like, whoa, the two worlds collide kind of thing.
Yeah, it's full circle. I like that. And so we're talking a lot about knitting. We mentioned crochet. So when we're talking about fiber magic or textile magic, we're talking about a huge genre like sewing, knitting, crochet, any kind of needlework.
Embroidery. Yeah.
Embroidery. Yes. Yeah. I think what else? Like making
moving
your
thread.
yarn, spinning. Yeah, moving thread. And you're right. It is this ancient practice that we have been doing for centuries, that whole songs were created. Women and women especially would get together to be in groups, to dye materials, to spin, to weave, to do all these things. And I feel like it's reemerging, but it is a lost communal art. It's a lost art that we forgot Because now what do? We go to the store and buy our clothes. And don't think about, oh, you know what? If I make my own clothes, I could imbue this with some sort of magic. So in a past life, this lifetime, I used to make costumes for the theater. I worked the theater in Baltimore. So, and we always had this superstition, which it really is a magical foundation, that for every drop of blood that the seamstress put into a garment, it was good luck. It meant the production would be successful. So now after that and now whenever I bleed, and it sounds really bad, I guess, if you don't know the context, if there's a drop of blood in anything I make, that's good luck. So it's really a piece of the worker going into the work. And I think I know I've even forgotten about it, because I have all my embroidery stuff, I have my crochet stuff. I don't touch it anymore. I should. My sewing machines are in storage,
It ebbs and flows. That's one thing about the craft. Sometimes you're really into it. Sometimes you got to be into other things. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's always there for you. Yeah. That is so funny that you say that about the blood, because I unintentionally used to very similarly think that of the tears that I would cry over the projects that I was sewing. Yeah. For like a deadline, because like back in school, you think the things you're sewing are very important if they're not correct, whatever that means.
Yes.
So the stress tears that I would put over there, I was like, do you know how many tears I put in this when I really cared about it? This is like
blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, exactly. It really is that.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Fun. It's amazing. And it's amazing the lore and the mythology, the magical connections that we forget we have in everyday items. So if you're someone that does like to knit, sew, crochet, I don't know, like there's so many ways you could put a magical spin on that. Not just your blood, sweat, and tears.
I advise you, ask the oldest person that you know who does the craft that you like, what types of things they were taught, because if I've learned anything in my podcast, it's that a lot of these people who are crafting magically now learned from their grandparent.
Yes.
Like, oh, well, back then it wasn't, quote, weird. Like, that's what we did, was we sat and we enchanted the thread by singing over it as we spun it. Or like, we went to the person to have it exorcised out of us. Like this was normal practice because that's what was offered at the time. And when I asked these people, like, what happened between now and then? Where did we go wrong? Where did we forget? It's because a lot of those generations, for protection, of course, had to suppress, change opinions, stop saying things, or they just wanted to blend in, right? They just don't want to be seen as weird in the new place that they're at. And of course, that seems so obvious when you think about it, but easy to forget when you haven't had to go through it yourself, I guess.
Right. Yeah. And it's easy to weed those things out in a single generation. If a single generation didn't have to make their own clothes or knit their own scarf, it becomes a lost art, a lost cultural connection. Hey there, witches. Did you know there's an entire community out there waiting for you? The Rebel Mystic Coven is a space I've built to help you live your witchcraft journey. So join me today in the Rebel Mystic Coven for twice monthly live lessons, resources, classes, and deep discussions. Check the link in the show notes to learn more, or visit my website, leandrawitchwood.com, for more information. Blessed be, and I look forward to seeing you in the coven.
Well, and clothes are so cheap now that people don't understand. Like a friend of mine just knitted this beautiful sweater. It took her 400 hours.
Yeah, easy.
400 hours. And she knits regularly. That only took her, I think, maybe she said 6 months to finish. But it's a very complicated pattern. It's multiple different threads she had to switch between. But this sweater is beautiful. It'll probably be in her family for generations. It makes me think of Mr. Rogers, who I like to think I was raised by. We didn't have cable. We just had PBS, and that was it. And so I watched Mr. Rogers every day at 3:30 when I was a kid. And in the mornings too, if I was up early enough, because he was on at 9:30 as well. And he wore a knitted sweater every single day that was knitted by his mother. She would only make 12 sweaters a year for the 12 members of their family. And she'd give it to them on Christmas. And then she'd ask them at Christmas, what do you want next year? And there's this really cute clip from Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers. And he says, she would always say to me, Freddie, I know you want the zipper down the front. And it just, when I think of that, it like literally made me cry when I was rewatching that a couple days ago or a couple weeks ago. I just saw that clip come across social media because how much love. I mean, this woman was spending a month at a time knitting into each of these sweaters the love that she has for each of these people. And that's what this is. At the end of the day, not magic, KNOT, magic, is something that's been around for millennia, and it's one of the first practices, maybe not as much anymore, but I remember in the beginning of my witchcraft journey, it was one of the first practices we learn is how to do the knots. And there's one, I'm going to totally not remember it now, but it's like 1 is for something, 2 is for this, 3 is for that, and you go to 9 and then you repeat. So you can use chants and incantations in your knitting in that way, and that was something that was done in history. Even a Jacob's ladder, I remember reading, who knows where at this point, it could have been a Substack, it could have been a Wild Hunt article, but I remember reading an article from somebody talking about how Jacob's ladders were mystical. They were protection magic in the past, and then they became part of Christian faith later. So it really runs very, very deep, this work. And it is such a good way to get in touch with our ancestor work. And when we make things that we give to others, that's what I did during COVID too. I knitted every Christmas gift. I didn't want to spend $1 online on Amazon because back then we couldn't go shopping. For those who might not remember, that first Christmas in 2020 was like we really couldn't shop. Like we couldn't leave our house. Like I was fully quarantined in rural Pennsylvania with my entire family. It was actually amazing. It was my husband and I. My brothers both had girlfriends at the time, and all of us got along. So it was the 6 of us kids, quote unquote, and then my parents. So it was 8 of us in my childhood home in Pennsylvania. And so me and the girls, we just knit all for months of COVID together. And so I gave every single person for Christmas something hand knitted. And it was this intention I put in everything I was knitting at that time. It was to quell fear, to calm, and to embrace the future that would come. Because we knew it couldn't last forever. We didn't know what would come after it. I mean, I want to speak to that more than we do as a modern society. I think COVID was so traumatizing for so many that we just have tried to forget it. And we're in that denial period of the grief for what that was. And it's like, no, let's talk a little bit because it's been 5 years. Let's not forget where that was for us. And there is a reason, like you said, as it was common, there were a lot of spiritual awakenings happening during COVID. And it was a gift in that way, for sure, for society.
I'm on the opposite end of that. I loved COVID. Like I loved quarantining. Like, please, 6 feet away from me, stay home for weeks at a time. Love it. Loved it.
Yeah, it saved my life. Yeah, it was personally, it was amazing. But I was so privileged. Like I didn't have to work.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was thrilled. I was a school teacher at that time in my life. So we were off school.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, you were.
Yeah. You had to pay all the rest of the time, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was, yeah. You see what I do now, right? Like, it's,
right.
Yeah. That is a different, like Leandra said, it's a past life in this life.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Still teaching, just different. Yeah. I like it.
I'm teaching students who want me here, and I'm the administrator.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. You say what goes.
I love it. Yes. Yeah. Terrible economic times are always big booms in the crafting industry. I'm sorry to say. We always
Interesting. I didn't realize that. I thought it would be like snacks and alcohol.
Yeah. What do you think they're doing with the snacks and alcohol? I can drink and eat while I'm knitting. Okay. Tell me. I'm very talented.
Beans. I get so distracted when I'm crocheting or embroidering. Like I'll get on a roll and I'll, be counting or I'll be doing my chain or whatever. And then I lean in so much. Then all of a sudden I have something that went wonky and I'm like, what happened? What did I do there? And I don't know where I was. I was just zoning out. So it's very meditative. And I think that's one of the really big benefits of it, especially for people who can't meditate or think they can't meditate. Pick up some sort of repetitive textile that you can do. And even if you're not necessarily creating something, if you need to zone out on something and you need to keep your hands busy while you're doing the astral temple that you're trying to get to, or the meditation you're trying to get through, I found it so helpful for my fidgety side of me that I could just do a chain, or I could do a repetitive stitch and listen to music and listen to a meditation, or do a meditation. And it helps. It helps calm yourself. And I think that's such an underrated thing. I think people should try it. Just try it.
Even if you feel like you're not good enough to do it without looking, then make a project where it's nothing. You're not making a thing. Like, you're not trying to be the perfect whatever, follow the pattern. The goal is, this is the meditation piece.
Yes.
So I just grab it when I'm in this state, and then whatever happens. That's fine. That's just a reflection of where I was, like a ring on a tree, right?
Exactly. It's just
define that later if you want.
Yep. Yeah. And maybe I've had this happen. Maybe if you pick up something, so say you're doing embroidery or knitting, and it's not a pattern you're following, you're just going with it. You're not counting your stitches right, whatever it is, you're just doing it. I have found that when I go back to that piece, and especially if it's one that's over time, it almost becomes this journal of your religious or spiritual experiences of what's happening. You might even be able to divine some symbols out of that, or some messages out of it, and then you didn't even realize was there. Like automatic writing, you don't really, you're not doing anything structured, and that's okay. The structure is the message that comes through it, but it's through chaos that we find this synchronicity, this connection to the divine, and it's about surrender. Exactly, the thread to follow. Oh,
sorry, I'm so punny. I'm sorry.
You did it.
Yay, punny! I love punny.
Me too.
Please be more punny. but yeah, so that thread to follow. So it's about that surrender, though, and I think that's why people have issues with the meditation. They can't surrender to it. It's so hard to surrender because we get in our own way.
If you've been feeling a quiet anger mixed with clarity, a sense that something ancient in you is done waiting, I would like to tell you about the Red Thread. For 9 weeks, we meet in an astral temple to which I safely guide you, and we will walk with goddesses like Inanna, Aphrodite, Persephone, Hecate, and the Morrigan. You will learn how to stop shrinking and start acting instead of reacting, acting from a place of grounded power in a world that needs you. If you feel the signs, if you're seeing keys, if crows won't leave you alone, if you're dreaming of snakes, caves, fresh waters at springs, this is for you. Learn more at ElyseWells.com/redthread, and interest-free payment plans are available. And that's what I was thinking about knitting. I think crochet, once you hit some level of it, like I've really never got to this level, but I just sucked every time. But with crochet, I do think you can get there too. Embroidery, I got there very fast. So if you're brand new, if you're like, gosh, I like the idea, guys, but like all this sounds really hard and expensive. Embroidery is super cheap. Like I got everything I needed, including I got like thumb and finger guards, including all that. It was $26. And I got a set of 6 different embroidery hoops. Like it was literally $26 for every single thing I needed. I also got those like washable patches. So like my husband's clothes have mushrooms all over them now. Like he'll pull out like an undershirt and he's like, "What is this?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, I just could not stop myself." He loves them though. He's like, "This is such a surprise." Like it's like a fairy ring appearing in our closet slowly. But it is an exercise of our intuition to do these things, because the mind wants to get involved. The mind is like, you better count, you better watch your tension, you better this. And like Leandra said, you can get really into it, and then it actually somehow isn't as good. But when you let yourself intuitively flow, that's what I love about textile work. It's mind, body, and spirit. You have to let the mind take a back seat and let your body and spirit work together to create this physical manifestation of that meditative experience. And it becomes an exercise of being able to better listen to your intuition, because you start to know. You couldn't even put it into words. That's why it's sometimes hard to learn with a teacher online, is you kind of have to be with them to have help on textile work, because it's hard to put into words how you know the tension is right, how you know that those stitches are the right distance apart, and how you know, okay, if I turn this now, then I can move this into, like if you're making a mitten or something that's a strange shape. So there is, it's a really good exercise actually for building your intuition, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Katie, have you ever had an like a channeled experience come through while you were knitting, like or any sort of like a bigger download, or any download?
Okay, so yes, and in different ways. So I don't want to say lucky, but usually when I'm looking for an answer for something, I can get one. So sometimes I have to wait it out, but usually like go on a dog walk, or if I just sort of like start workshopping ideas at that point, like something will eventually fall out of it. So for instance, I have a new mitten pattern that I'm designing, and I wanted a pocket in it somehow. And so I just sort of like, okay, like pocket, how do I get the pocket? Would it be like this? How would I do it? How would I attach it? Like all these things. And then by focusing so much on it, basically expecting an outcome by the end, I mean, not really knowing other than like it's a mitt with a pocket, but how? That sort of like Plinko style puts it into like, boop, this. So like maybe all these were great options, but this is the one you should at least try first. So, and the really nice thing about creating with yarn, at least, is 9 times out of 10, you can, if it doesn't go your way or you don't like how it comes out, pull it out, reuse it, no problem. So nice, so resilient, which is why yarns or thread is like a great ally. You can often reuse it.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many embroidery stitches I undid because I'm like, no.
And it's very freeing also.
It is.
I can't tell you how it freaks other members of the household out when I'm suddenly like, nope, like this gotta go. And they're like, no, there's so much. Can't you save it? I'm like, nope.
That. Yeah. Nope, it's gotta go.
Nope. Don't worry.
There are do-overs in life.
Yeah, that's a good lesson that these textile arts can gift us. Because it can be, I struggle with that a lot. Like I'm a Taurus sun and a Leo rising. And so if I do something and it's not right the first time, I just want to not do the thing anymore. Like that is really my biggest shadow I've been working through since middle school, at least, when it was on my report card. I was like, she needs to be comfortable retrying. So yeah, like I literally,
damn,
it's like,
so deep.
I know. I had good teachers. They always were pushing me. So I've really worked on that. And like, I think that was something textile arts helped me with. And that's where I'm at with embroidery. I'm working my way back up to sewing, because I used to sew by hand. I actually used to quilt by hand. That was my like hobby in high school. Was I loved quilting. And in high school, I lived overseas in the Middle East, and I felt really disconnected from the ancestors I most identified with in Greece, because we lived in a country I'm not from at all. Like we lived in the Arabian Gulf. And so I have family in Egypt, but I've never really felt overly close with them. But I really was missing my family in Greece and mostly in the United States. And quilting, where I grew up in Amish country and where my family's from in Virginia, is so important. And we have quilts in our family that are over 100 years old. And so I wanted to create something that I could pass on. So I created this quilt. It took me all of high school, because quilting, for those who don't know, is really sewing times like 4, because you have to sew the bottom, sew the top, sew the designs onto the top, and then you have to baste everything together, which is massive. You're resewing every single thing you've already sewn again. And when you do that by hand, which I think you can use a machine to quilt, but I did it not. I did it all by hand, and there was appliques on every square. It was ridiculous how much I took on, and this thing was like 8 by 6. Wow. So it took me 4 years. And when I look back, I didn't intend this, but it was this journey of mourning a connection I didn't feel I had to ancestors that created a connection that I had to my ancestors and set me up. By the end of my high school experience, I was ready to choose where I went to university, and I chose Lancaster, PA. And I think all of it really kind of led me to this journey of becoming. And I love that quilt was created over those formative 4 years for myself. So it can really be like, if you're like, I want to get started, I don't know what to start with, look for something that your ancestors did and give that a try and see if that brings you a closeness, or maybe it does create an opportunity for connection to your ancestors in direct ways. Because once you learn a skill too, you can go back to that quilt that's been in your family for 100 years and be like, oh, that's log cabin. Oh, I know what this is. Like, you actually can see it better now.
Yes.
So
you unlock the hidden language of the craft.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like going into any clothing store and reaching into the garment and flipping out the wash and care label to be like, all right, what are we made of? This is mostly polyester and you're charging how much? No. Or like, you just used a serger to finish these edges. Like, that's the cheapest, easiest thing. And this isn't designer quality. Like, no, I can read you. You can't cheat me. So yeah, it's really empowering to learn a craft at any level, because even just starting it gives you enough information that you do or don't like it. So like, if it's a thing you've always been thinking about, well, now you don't have to think about it anymore if you don't like it. And that's very freeing too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so true. And I would say, if you're listening and you're like, okay, I want to get started, I don't know if I want to start with any of these hard things. Like I said, embroidery is very cheap, and it is, like, I promise anyone can embroider a wee little mushroom. The back might not look that good. I'm still at that level where the front can look good, but the back is ugly.
Don't even worry about the back. Like that, yeah. As long as it's not lumpy, you're cool. Like, the back is not meant to be beautiful. You can.
What a lesson in that.
Let it be messy. Well, and it's a great lesson in how something beautiful can come out of chaos, because the back of your embroidery is going to be chaotic. It's going to look threads everywhere, knots everywhere. But then the front is like, oh, there's the design. There's the beauty in it. Beauty in the chaos.
Yeah.
It looks more like one of those paintings that you just kind of like slap
you just kind of like
quick. But if you kind of look away, you're like, oh, it's the same thing. Yeah.
I can see it now.
But I was thinking of mending. Like, start with mending your clothes. The way I do this is I wait until there's at least 3 garments in the mend pile, and then I sit down and do all 3 at once. Because we think, like, if we see one, like, I have just one right now and it's still annoying me. It's like a stupid repair that would take 2 minutes, so I might just do that one. But usually it's like, I wait for 3 things. And if you mend for other people, it is such a lovely gift. Like, my husband had a sweater that he really loved, and my cat, Willie, bless him, he created like a little pull in it, and then it created an actual hole. So I had to actually like kind of like stitch that like finely to make it look good. And my husband thought I threw away the sweater because it was in the mend pile for a couple of months. And now it's getting cold again. And I was like, oh, I fixed your sweater. And he was so like overjoyed. He said, I love this sweater. It's one of the few that's long enough. He's a tall guy. And it was such a, like, it was a very free gift. Like, it was just something I took a few minutes to do. And it meant a lot to him. So mending is this great bond with other people. And it's also, like, we are in times where we just have so much overconsumption. Like, people buy something new so often.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I also just went through, I've kind of been on this weight loss journey. I've lost 85 pounds since 2023. So I've been taking in clothes. Thank you. So some of my faves, I don't want to get rid of. Like, some sweaters and stuff, I'm like, that's just a big sweater now. But then for a lot of my favorite, like, summery stuff, I had to actually take it in. And that was really empowering, because I'm obviously thrilled that I've lost this weight and I'm on this health journey and all these good things, but I also didn't want to lose some of my favorite pieces. Especially, I'm tall, so like I have to buy talls, and sometimes you can't find tall. So that felt really empowering to be able to save things that I loved.
Oh, that's wonderful. And things that you hand make, especially, but like even things that you fix or alter to fit you better, you'll have more of a connection with those pieces than something you just bought off the rack. Even if you love that thing off the rack, like, if you put time into it, know every stitch, you know, like the cost of the fabric or the yarn that you like, you're going to care a little bit more at, well, maybe I'll just mend it instead of just chucking it out. Like,
Right.
I love that sweater, or I put 400 hours in it, right?
Yeah.
I'm
So
not going to just throw
it
it
means
out.
more. It
It
means
means
something.
more.
Yeah. When I was early in my kitchen witch journey, I was like, I need and this is, of course, when I was working the theater. So I was already in the mode of making things. I decided I was going to make my own apron. And so what I did was I sewed a secret pocket in the apron that I can put a crystal in there. I could put a plant ally in there. I could put a spell component, a mojo bag, whatever. And I think that's really where the magic can blossom, is when you're like, "Ooh, I've got a little secret pocket here. I've got a little secret compartment." And that becomes part of it. And it goes with the knot magic. When I tie my apron, there's knot magic in there. When I was putting the apron through my machine, because I didn't do it by hand. No. I have my overlock, I have my regular sewing machine, and that's how I roll. and and when I was making, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do some applique on it, and I'm gonna, so it's this really customized piece that I can put on when I'm feeling the need for a little extra oomph in my work. And you can't get that. I mean, you can get that from something that's store bought, especially if you modify it, but it's not going to come off that way. Especially think about how most of our textiles are made. They're made in some factory overseas by people who are grossly underpaid, grossly underappreciated, sometimes children in these factories. So it's not this ethical exchange of energy.
Mm-hmm. There's not a bunch of people who love cooking, sewing these aprons.
Right. They're not pouring their love into it. There's misery in it, So if they do bleed on it, you're probably not getting something that is blessed. And that's I think a reality that I don't think we think about enough. I know I don't. I don't think about it enough. I'm like, oh, I need a new sweater. I'm just gonna go buy one. Instead of like, you know what, I could make my own damn thing.
Yeah, we need to remember the thrill of the hunt, because we kind of got into like the thrill of the deal, and that has compromised like all of the quality, right? And so if you're really more about the hunt and it's not time based, then you can afford to look through various thrifting options, secondhand. Lots of these things are brand new anyway, or just require a little bit of creativity if you look at them. Like, what are bed sheets but large swashes of cloth that in many cases are better quality, 100% cotton, than you would get like the same amount from a fabric store that's no longer in existence anyway. So
I know.
So you have to get more creative.
Yeah, you do. You really do.
I've been seeing people thrifting yarn from old sweaters. So that's incredible. It's genius. I saw this statistic. I don't know how well researched it is, but there is enough clothing on Earth right now to outfit the next 6 generations comfortably.
Yeah, I
believe
unfortunately don't doubt this, based on things that I know that a lot of people don't know about working in the fashion and buying industry, and how disgusting, unfortunately, and wasteful it is.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so sad. Even in the yarn industry, being the person who was making the yarn was also very eye-opening, where you learn like, oh, wait, this product that I thought I made to be like good and green was actually worse. This was worse.
Wow. Yeah.
What? Yeah. No. So, live and learn.
Yeah. I'm really drawn to spinning. Like really drawn to spinning. I actually got a drop spindle and tried that for 2 years, and I suck at it. And then I met someone so good news, if anyone out there is like, yeah, anyway, everyone says it's so easy. Because if you look up YouTube videos for how to use a drop spindle, they're like 4 minutes long, and they're like, okay, and there you have it. And I'm like, whoa, what? And mine's just this droppy, ripped, and so I know.
Tangled fiber.
It's so hard. So I found by happenstance, I was at my book launch at the Serpent's Key in Hanover. Shout out to the Serpent's Key, and for Sacred Wild, my book launch. And a woman came in who's friends with Amy Blackthorne, and her name is escaping me, but she was wonderful to meet. And she does spinning, and she actually teaches spinning. So I'm on the hunt she only teaches it twice a year, but I'm on the hunt to actually meet up with her and do that, because She said that it is so hard to find the right wool because it has to all go in the same direction. And if it's already dyed, it won't work. And I was using I did buy like a high quality wool from a small farm in Scotland, but it was not all going the same direction. So I was like, oh, so I was doomed from the start with this wool I bought.
Yes, you were.
So there's a lot of specialty knowledge that a teacher will have that, so listen to Knit a Spell, like you will learn so much. And like find teachers, join knitting circles, go to your library. Libraries have sewing circles. Like I've never lived somewhere that a library didn't have some sort of textile hour each week. In the US, I should say. I've never lived anywhere in the US that didn't have that. And what was the other thing I learned about spinning? Oh, spinning on a wheel. Antique wheels are not meant. They're meant for a totally different type of wool than we have today. So you can't really spin on an antique wheel unless you've learned from someone who knows that specific wheel. It's like having a finicky vintage car. So it can be a really hard thing. So she actually said there's new companies that make wheels that if you buy those, they'll do what they're supposed to do, and then they recommend the wools. And so my goal, because I saw this video when we had Madame Pamita. I always want to say it French, but Madame Pamita. We had her on the show like years ago now, and her book, Baba Yaga something or other.
Yes,
I know it's
it's
a great book. I love it, but it's escaping me. It's a long title.
Book of Witchcraft. I know at least it's Baba Yaga's Book of Witchcraft. I don't know what the sub, but I know it's great. At least that.
Yeah,
yes.
I know.
Yes, it's right there.
Nice. Yeah, I know it's on this big old shelf somewhere, but so that book, she talks about spinning as a connection to Baba Yaga and other elder goddesses. Like winter is really the time. Like that's why we wanted this episode to come out when it does here in December. But I looked up some videos on YouTube I couldn't find Greek women, but I found Albanian women, which is a part of Albania that was Greece before. So just northern Greece, essentially. And they had just a simple stick. And they had a huge thing of wool. And they were just turning this stick out and making like an entire skein in like 6 minutes. It was crazy. And that like ignited something in me. So even if you're just interested enough to pull up old videos of people doing different arts, see which one, like literally, I felt this like sob rising. I knew this was something my ancestors have done and that I should do to connect deeper with them. So it can be quite a journey exploring these textiles. And you might be like me and never actually successfully create one. Like literally the closest I got was I made enough yarn that I could make like I did a not magic spell with leaves from my land and hung it at my land spirit's altar. That is as close as I've come.
That's good enough.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a huge start.
Yeah.
From what I understand
it's cute
about
and
spinning,
powerful, my little guy.
You can't create crafty yarn like that after you get the feel for it. So enjoy this beginner time where you can make these like novelty, fun, thick and thin yarns before you apparently can't anymore. That's my gift of forward knowledge to you based on what people have told me. Now, I never got to the point personally where I was good at it. I gave up because I moved away from my teacher, but I can tell you that modern spinning wheels will change your life. It's way easier than doing a drop spindle. That's an art.
Interesting.
Yeah. I want to be these little Albanian yayas just pulling. This was just a stick. It had knobs on it. She's like,
but that wool is like super long and scaly, and that would stick to anything. You could just like do this to it, and it would, start felting. So again, once you get the fiber, it will help. And that's another thing. Like, let's say you don't connect with any one craft. Maybe there's a fiber ally you'd like to align with. So like Elyse, maybe like linen or hemp would be kind of like ancestrally appropriate, perhaps. It's a nice long fiber and it's like really high vibrational, much like wool, except for just like the other side of the spectrum. So
yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea. All right,
Awesome.
Katie, tell our listeners where they could find you, where they can listen to Knit a Spell, and anything you have coming up in 2026 that you want to share with us.
Cool. All right. So first of all, thanks for having me. It's just been so wonderful. I have known Leandra and Elyse for years via Wendy.
Yeah.
So having like our own time to chat has been really great. I love your podcast. So keep doing all the wonderful things. If you're interested in listening to my podcast, Knit a Spell, it's anywhere you listen to podcasts, including you can watch it on YouTube. Also, if you're looking to knit with magic, you can find all my patterns on my website, lightfromlantern.com. Yay.
Nice.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
This was fun.
Hope to come back again at some point.
Absolutely. Merry meet.
Merry part. And merry meet again.
Thank you for joining us on the Magick Kitchen Podcast. Please visit my website, leandrawitchwood.com, for news, information, and more episodes.
I'm Elyse Wells. You can learn more about my current offerings and my upcoming retreats to Greece at ElyseWells.com. That's ELYSEWELLES.com.